What's good, everyone, and welcome in to a brand new edition of the World Class Hoops podcast here for Monday, July the 5th, 2021. I'm your host, Chris Rouse, and here with me today, I brought in my big dog. I brought my big dog back from SOTG Chicago, Students of the Game. Students of the Game you can find on Twitter at SOTG Chicago. From the Joe with Joe morning show, I had to go get Dr. Joseph Gregory. Welcome back, Joseph Gregory. Welcome back, Joe.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me. Now, first for all your viewers,
That's all I got,
I'm
bro.
still in. I'm still in my. It's my official world class Who's podcast hat, but this isn't one of my official shirts. So I got up out of bed. It was a long 4th of July. Kids loved it. They popped. We didn't pop fireworks. We just watched, because that's what we do. You know, and that's what we did.
Yeah, I had you said long 4th of July, man. It's been a long few weeks for me, man. I haven't been able to really sit down and get any content going. So it's a few things we kind of missed. And while we here, man, we might as well talk about a few of them. We gonna talk NBA Finals. We gonna talk NBA head coaching vacancies. But while we here, man, I just want to get your thoughts on a few things. Patrick Beverly pushing Chris Paul in the back, suspended one game for next season. What's your thoughts on that, real quick?
I mean, you say people will reveal their real selves and during adverse situations or anything. That's the real
Yeah,
Pat Beverly right there. That was the real Patrick Beverly right there, pushing somebody in the back. You know, Jeff Van Gundy said something very interesting about Patrick Beverly, and I think he was really spot on, dead correct. He was talking about Patrick Beverly plays right at that line where it's very aggressive, or borderline dirty
mm-hmm.
type of thing.
Yeah,
And he also said if he didn't play like that, he probably wouldn't be in the league.
yeah.
So, so that
That's a
was
fair.
just another
That's a
part.
fair assessment.
You know, Russell Westbrook calling the timeout. I'm going to get this steal. And he can go out.
Oh yeah.
Just just head butting people. How you get so pump fake that you get head butted and breaking somebody's nose? I mean, and then but this last one move was just super classless as far as pushing somebody in the back. That was just
Okay.
total classlessness on his part. I did see him go on Twitter. He did give out an apology to Chris Paul, saying his emotions got the best of him. But like I said, what if Chris Paul who
Got
should be
hurt.
wrapped up in bubble wrap? Chris Paul, for all this playoff, you know, I want to say being fragile. So as far as his playoff history, as far as hamstring pulls and reaching in for a steal, breaking his hand and shoulder contusions. We saw COVID last series and all this stuff. He should be
Yeah.
in bubble wrap. So for you to push that man in the back, what if he would have tried to stop himself? The knee would have went out of anything. So
Yeah.
very reckless, classless move by Patrick Beverly. I think he probably realized that when he saw the highlights and he had to go back, eat that crow and issue that Twitter apology.
And you know what? I thought you mentioned something interesting what Jeff Van Gundy said, and that is how Patrick Beverly plays. I kind of think of him as a defensive irritant, a physical perimeter defender. So like to your point, he does kind of get away with a little bit more. But like you said, I thought that was a total classless act. No need to push Chris Paul in the back. I mean, and then on top of that, like Jeff Van Gundy said, maybe he thought he said something to him, but when they showed the video, clearly Chris Paul didn't say anything. So I honestly, like he said, his emotions got the better of him. But I just thought that was a bad look for Patrick Beverly.
It was just a look. He might have gave him one of them looks.
Yeah.
Chicago. We different kind of people in Chicago. You can't just be looking at us. The look he gave him might have been like, "What you on? You on that? You know, let's do it." So Patrick Beverly took that look. It's like, "Oh, I'm on the West Side. I'm in Chicago. I'm in the middle of the park." Now somebody had that one meme up also with Patrick Beverly, doing like the Wood Harris
with the
name
gun
from
in the bag,
above the
from
rim, like
above
he
the
going
rim.
in the bag, getting it. I thought that was crazy. So yeah.
And all right, so now as a result, like we said, he's gonna be suspended for one game to start the new season. Also, Team USA they announced their 12-man roster. What are your thoughts on some of the players that you saw on the roster?
Some very deserving players. One glaring omission that I thought was and I love how he responded to this question. John Morant didn't make this team,
Okay.
and they asked him about that the other night on TNT, and he was just like, man, I got to work harder to show that I'm one of the top players in the world. And I love his response. Like, I think I'm one of the top players, but they don't feel like it. So I ain't gonna really delve into it too much. I ain't gonna be sad about it, but I'm just gonna keep working hard and showing that I'm one of the better top players in the world. One thing about this team, I did feel like as I looked through some of the other world rosters and knowing that they got to compete against, I know it's a very stretch, it's sort of like small ball era, but I thought with the bigs, Bam Adebayo, Kevin Love, and really Draymond Green, that's about as big as we're getting there. You
Yeah,
know what I'm
not
saying?
really a lot
So
of bigs. And when you think about the roster, Jason Tatum also like the stretch big man on the roster. I think that like you really don't have a lot of interior bangers. So and Bam Adebayo who has developed the mid range jump shot, that has been huge. That's been good for his game. But he's gonna have to be huge playing internationally because as we saw in the FIBA World Championships, it was Rudy Gobert, the high pick and roll that they played when they played against France. That Team USA had a lot of problems with.
So that's
I think
the thing about the size of the roster. You go up against guys like Rudy Gobert from France. When you face Jokic, when you face a bonus.
yeah.
What's going to be the impact of your front line? I mean, are they going to be in foul trouble? We know with the international game, offensive rebound are going to be at a premium. So
Yeah.
there's no goaltender in international basketball. One being these Olympics. So are we going to have the guys to keep these other teams off the boards, hold them to one shot, as well as create second shot opportunities for the U.S.?
Yeah, that'd definitely be key for Team USA moving forward. But also we talked about Patrick Beverly. We talked about the Olympics. The LA Clippers, the Atlanta Hawks. Any last thoughts on those teams? Since we didn't have a chance to really cover the conference finals the way we were supposed to, because life happens. But
Mm-hmm.
so
Yeah.
what's your thoughts on the Clippers and the Hawks, respectively?
I want to start off with the Hawks. When the Hawks first started this season, I looked at them as one of those teams in the East. Like I was looking like sort of in the class with the Knicks and the Bulls and the Hornets, the Wizards, a lot of the Pacers. Say like second and third tier teams in the East. That was really like maybe just a game or two away from being third to second tier, second to third tier. They get off to a rough start. They fire Lloyd Pierce, who was 14-20. But then Nate McMillan just goes super. Talk about an NBA Coach of the Year candidate. I
Yeah,
mean, they went what,
in half the
37, I
season.
believe, 37-17 under Nate McMillan through the playoffs and the last part of the regular season. I mean, wow. So if I'm in the Atlanta Hawks, I got to feel like, look, we had a very, very, very successful season this year. Nobody really picked us to do anything. Everybody picked us maybe to play in the playing game or something, be 9-10. And here we are being the 5 seed. We went on the road to beat the Knicks. We go on the road, game 7 to beat the Philadelphia, the number 1 seed. And here we go, and we get 2 games away from Milwaukee, even as we see our leader, Trae Young, hobbled by a foot injury.
Yeah,
I think the future is very bright for the Atlanta Hawks. You also got to think DeAndre Hunter did not play in these last 2 series. He'll
yep.
be
I was
back.
just about to say. I was
Cam
just about to say that.
and if you're Cam Reddish and how you performed in these last 2 or 3 games against Chris Middleton when he was hot, your confidence has to be going through the roof as you prepare to work out in the summer and get your game better. You add that to Trae Young. I mean, they had a great year. I think their future is very, very bright. Bogdanovich. You got Herder. You got shooters. I mean, they might want to add one more interior piece, just as far as maybe on some depth stuff. Or depending on, let's see how the summer shakes out.
Sign
Atlanta's
Tyrese
going to be very
Halliburton.
attractive to free agents. I think. You talk about playing with a young guy like Trae Young and playing under a coach like Nate McMillan. I think they're going to be very attractive to free agents.
I think they should probably keep John Collins, or the fact that
Oh
they
yeah,
have Onyeka Okongwu kind of gives them a little bit of leeway to kind of have some leverage in that John Collins situation. But in regards to Atlanta overall, I thought they were a year ahead of schedule, man. This was an Atlanta team
yeah.
that I thought, like with Trae Young, I was like, all right, maybe it'll be another year of Trae Young kind of just chucking it, and then and then maybe they'll have a first round exit. But no, Atlanta, because I even picked the Knicks in that series. Atlanta made a very good run. Kind of reminded me of like the '89 Bulls a little bit. You know, a 6 seed, a lower seed that wasn't really supposed to get that
Mm-hmm.
far, and they make a run to the conference finals. So and actually, and they lost in the same amount of games. They lost to 6. So salute to the Atlanta Hawks, man. I think DeAndre Hunter coming back will be key, and just what they showed in the playoffs, man. That ability to get runs, that ability to come out there 17-0, 22-4, 24-5. To get those type of runs. I think that's key for a young team. And I thought Nate McMillan, something that we don't usually see with Nate McMillan teams. He kind of let them play a faster style. Usually Nate McMillan teams play a lot of
Mm-hmm.
defensives. They play defense and kind of grind it out in the half court. But no, this was an Atlanta team that got up and down the court. So thoroughly impressed with Atlanta. I picked the Clippers to win the West. It didn't happen, but they came close. They were riddled by injuries. Let me get your thoughts on the Clippers. I'm gonna sit out on this one. Reggie Jackson said he loved it. Serge Ibaka was hurt. Kawhi Leonard was hurt. Paul George. I'll let you debate that one on air yourself. Go ahead.
Um, the Clippers, even though they didn't make the finals, they got further along than they ever gotten before. But definitely the key move for the Clippers now, I think, really is what. So what will number 2 do? Does he want to stay here, or is he going to try to, talk to them in the offseason and try to force his way up out of there? I really think they should stay the course. You talk about Kawhi Leonard and Paul George right now, as far as a 2-3-2 wing combo is great. I'll see if they want to revisit the point guard situation a little bit with Rondo, Beverly, and Reggie Jackson, who I thought played great. I think Reggie Jackson might have played himself out of LA because I think the money demands for him might be a little bit too much for the Clippers now. So it's going to be interesting to see how that goes. But the rest of the team really should just be kept intact. Excuse me. You talk about if you could bring back Ibaka healthy, the Boogie showed what he still has something left in the tank, and Zubac, that's a pretty good 3-headed combo at the center. Marcus Morris brings that toughness to the front line. I don't think you need to let him go. And Kennard and Mann really stepped up off the bench and showed they could be key contributors. So I think if you're the Clippers, the Terrence Man, I'm sorry.
The newest superhero. No, you said it right.
What did I call him?
No, you said it right. I was just saying that's the newest superhero, Terrence
Oh.
Man.
Yeah, but I think it's really about them staying the course and trying to keep Kawhi Leonard there, because if Kawhi Leonard wants to leave, then you got to try to get rid. Then if you get rid of him, it's going to be a package in return. And then what does Paul George really want to do? Because he's the real reason that Kawhi Leonard is the reason that Paul George is really there. That's the guy that he targeted and wanted. Y'all gave it to him. So you went 2 years. You changed coaches. I think Ty Lue did a hell of a job adjusting through the playoffs, especially once he lost Kawhi Leonard in that second round. So I think the Clippers just need to stay the course and try to keep everybody in the building as much as they can. Maybe tinker with the point guard spot.
That's really weird about the Clippers to me is to have like 2 very good perimeter defenders. Overall, they're a very bad defensive team. Like I lost count of how many times in the playoff. I remember we did one of your shows, Joe with Joe, and you was like the Clippers are just every player is like they're looking at each other like, what is that?
Yeah, that's how I felt. Every time somebody got a layup and they was playing Dallas, and that's your man though. And I'm looking like that's your man. Y'all don't talk about this stuff. Right. I mean, we talk about the 2 great two-way defenders, and you talk about Leonard and George. You talk about the great defensive prowess of a Patrick Beverly and everything. We saw them routinely get cooked by perimeter people. I mean, it wasn't only Luka Doncic eating with Dallas. It was Jalen Brunson and it was Tim Hardaway Jr. Then, and you look in the Utah series, Donovan Mitchell really got off in that first game. The second game, don't know how much his health had to do with him. I thought after, I think game 3, once he got hurt toward the end of that game, you saw him really just starting to step back and settle for threes a little bit too much for my taste. But we also saw Jordan Clarkson come off the bench and have his moments, have his way with that Clippers defense. And we just saw the recent series as far as Devin Booker going for 40 in the first game, and then ending with Chris Paul going with 41 in the last game. So that's going to be something to look at as far as the Clippers and their defense. It'll be interesting to see what Ty Lue tries to do to tighten up that part of the team.
Yeah, and really for the Clippers, I mean, like you said, and then you mentioned Patrick Beverly, you mentioned Rondo. It's just like, how can this get better? I think one of the guys I've mentioned throughout the playoffs was Ivica Zubac, and you mentioned him possibly being a part of that 3-headed monster with the Clippers. Honestly, I think the Clippers could get. I think they could use somebody a little bit better than Zubac defensively. I think he struggles on defense. I've said in the past. I think he's food on defense
Mm-hmm.
sometimes, man. He was getting cooked all
Yeah.
throughout that series by Luka Doncic, and then on offense,
Yeah.
he doesn't really give you those buckets back. So I think that could be something that the Clippers could look for. Like you said, could be looking for somebody on the interior to possibly help those defensive issues that they've had moving forward. But earlier we talked about Nate McMillan, man. But I mean, Nate McMillan is actually listed as an interim head coach. So right now there are 3 head coaching positions available. You got Orlando, New Orleans, and Washington. I'm not saying that Nate McMillan could be a candidate for any of those jobs or anything like that. But I'm saying that these 3 teams are looking for jobs. So what are some of your thoughts on these jobs? First, let's start with Orlando. What are your thoughts on that position? Pros and cons.
Before I get to Orlando, the Atlanta Hawks, they don't get that intern tag off of Nate McMillan's name. They need to be drug tested immediately, expeditiously. They better get that intern tag off that 37-17. We just saw Lloyd Pierce get ran out of here like the players that want to play for him. Went 14-20, and this man come here and just have them being one amongst the best team in the NBA from the rest of the year all the way through the playoffs, get you to the Final Four. They better get that intern tag off of there. Get them a house or something in the A. They better do something. As far as these head coaching vacancies, you got Orlando, you got the Pelicans and Wizards.
Yeah, what's your thoughts on Orlando? What's your thoughts on Orlando first?
I think Orlando probably it's not the worst job when I look at these 3 jobs. They might have the least as far as talent, but they still have the upside, I think, just because of the fact they're going to be in the lottery. Excuse me. Yeah, Jonathan Isaac hopefully coming back off his injury.
2 picks.
Wendell Carter Jr., who they got from the Bulls. You know, he looked like he played a little bit better toward the end of the season with the change of scenery, knowing that he's going to be in the lineup. You got Markelle Fultz, who was also hurt last year. He should be back this year off injury. So I think the draft and the free agent market is really going to be big for Orlando. But I think the right coach, you get a young coach on the developmental side, I think that they probably can get now. You might see them go with a younger coach. You might give a guy or a girl or a woman who's never coached before. It might be a good first-time job for them with the Orlando Magic because they really have a chance to put their imprint and their stamp on the team and how they want them to play and everything. As far as,
I'm glad you mentioned that because 2 of the names that I continue to see is Darvin Ham and Charles Lee, both assistants of the Milwaukee Bucks. So far for Orlando, they have had Penny Hardaway and Kenny Atkinson linked. Now, Penny and Kenny didn't mean to do that.
Penny and Kenny did.
Neither of them, not mean good. Neither of them have emerged. Neither of them are rumored to be serious candidates. So maybe Darvin Ham, Charles Lee, or Becky Hammond, whose name has been floated up. What are your thoughts on that?
I think Darvin Ham is probably a strong candidate. He's a guy that's a former player. You see him on the bench with Milwaukee. He's one of the top assistants on the Budenholzer. So he's a guy that's really paid his dues in the NBA. He's probably gonna have that really be able to have that type of communication with players where he can hold them accountable and them not try to break them over the coals, even as a first-time coach. Feel the same way really about Charles Lee. But I really think that Becky Hammond is going to end up with one of these jobs just because I think that she's ready. I mean, she's proved that she was able to win the Summer League with the Spurs. Whenever Greg Popovich gets into trouble, he likes to put her, hey, you're going to be the coach right now. So just being from that organization, to me, she looks like she'll be ready. But also as far as the job, you don't want your first job, I guess, to be the worst situation. In this New Orleans Pelicans situation, even though out of these 3 teams, they might be the most talented. You talk about Brandon Ingram, talk about Zion Williamson, talk about having Lonzo Ball, Steven Adams, Bledsoe. They got some people down there. But for some odd reason, it hasn't been able to click. So Stan Van Gundy's out of there after 1 year. So what type of coach do they get now? Can they get Zion Williamson is not talking about he's unhappy there. His family don't like New Orleans. We never like beignets. We never like funnel cake. I don't like Bourbon Street. So now they got all these problems. So how do you keep your budding superstar happy as well as getting the right guy in there to try to take a step? I mean, you're in the West. And you're in the West. You've been like the 11, 12 seed the last couple of years. So you don't want to just stay down there. So it's time to make that move up, especially when you got guys like a front line consisting of a Brandon Ingram, a Zion Williamson, and Steven Adams. You feel like Okay, that should be a good starting point. It's nice
Yeah.
versatility, some nice size in the front line. What are you going to do with this backcourt? It's going to be Lonzo Ball. Are you moving Eric Bledsoe? Now, what about Hart off the bench? Uh,
Now
Kill.
remember,
Got it.
now time out. Remember,
Mm-hmm.
Ball and Hart are both restricted free agents this summer, this off season. So once the finals end, they are free agents. They are restricted free agents, meaning New Orleans can match
Right.
any money they are
So,
offered.
and it just, so, I mean, so what's going to be the market for Alonzo Ball? You see this team right here on my head, Alonzo Ball. We always think about Alonzo Ball, Zach LaVine, the backcourt, a lot of height in the backcourts, and a guy that can distribute the ball. Do the Bulls or any other team, do they create a market where they just make the price so high that New Orleans is like, nah, we'll let them walk and try to find somebody else? Or, like you said, they also got Bledsoe. So I never know what David Griffin is thinking. He's been experienced with this for a long time, going through the LeBron thing and everything in Cleveland. So it's going to be interesting to see how he tries to work this as far as the coaching vacancy and as far as keeping the players happy in New Orleans.
Now let me get your thoughts on the Washington Wizards situation. Now this team they said they wanted a quote robust head coaching search, and it has been that. I mean I've heard Wes Unseld Jr. I've heard
Mm-hmm.
Sam Cassell. I've heard the
Mm-hmm.
previously two named guys Darvin Ham and Charles Lee. So for the
Mm-hmm.
Washington Wizards with Bradley Beal, Russell Westbrook, Davis Bertans moving forward, what do you think they need to bring into the nation's capital?
Also in that Denny Avia, Rui
Okay.
Hachimura, who had a pretty good year, and Thomas O'Brien, who missed most of the year with the ACL injury, whatever. But they'll be back. We talk about having Bradley Beal and Russell Westbrook. I mean, you hear those names, you see how they play. Do you feel like that should be like easily like a top 3 or 4 backcourt in the NBA, and pretty much a
I think
guard
they I think
oriented
they are. I think they are. It's just
right,
they don't get the wins. They don't get the
right.
wins. That's all.
So what are you gonna do now to get the wins? What coach can help you come in there now and get the wins? I mean, you just had Scott Brooks up out of there. I mean, more of a veteran type of coach. He's been in Oklahoma City, been in Washington. Players, the voice needs to change sometime. But what do you want to do with the voice? You want to get a more experienced head coach? Is this a good place for a Stan Van Gundy? We're not hearing no Mark Jackson names in this. I mean,
Yeah.
do you want more experience with this team? I mean, or do you want to get a younger voice in there? I think and if you get a younger voice in there, it has to be to the point where they can get respected by the stars, Westbrook and Beal. So maybe I could see a Darvin Ham maybe sliding in the Washington Wizards situation. See maybe a
Now,
Charles Lee sliding in that type of situation.
now
But
let
it's
me
also
ask you.
about, can you get the respect?
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I'm
You
just
good?
trying to get the respect of the team. I mean, Nate McMillan, them players ain't had Trae Young. You feel like it was gonna run through the wall for Nate McMillan.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's how I
I
feel
agree.
also about Ty Lue. Once Kawhi Leonard got hurt, like them players are still gonna run through a wall for Ty Lue. So can somebody galvanize the Washington Wizards like that?
Now let me ask you, head coach Joseph Gregory,
Mm-hmm.
of these three jobs, if I said, look, I got a blank contract, all you got to do is sign one of these three teams' names on it. Which one of these three jobs would you take? Orlando, New Orleans, or Washington? Which job would you see yourself taking of these three? Would you most likely be the
I
head coach?
I would take the Washington Wizard job, and I would take the
Okay.
Washington Wizard job one because they're in the East. I mean, we just saw what Atlanta just did. Atlanta started off 14-20, told Lloyd Pierce, you better transfer your daughter out that school because you can fight. You're not going to be living, you're not going to be working in Atlanta no more. And we saw they got the right coach, and they made a run all the
He
way to
bounced.
the
He bounced
to
back
the
though.
yeah
He's on Carlisle staff in Indiana.
yeah. But you're not leading the staff no more. That's what they tell you. But so I mean, the Washington Wizard job, you're in the East, and plus, I mean, you can't turn down the talent. You love Bradley Beal, so do I. I mean, Bradley Beal and Russell
Yeah, I
Westbrook, that
do.
should be a good enough starting point right there.
I,
If
I'm a
you can
fan.
make the if you
I'm
can
a
make
fan.
the if you can make the adjustments and the right signings and come up with the right scheme for your front line, I mean, your front line isn't bare. You talked about Davis Bertans, who's one of the most prolific 3-point shooters in the league. You talk about him. I also like the development of Rui Hachimura this year. He's being that 6'8", 6'9", I guess, stretch four type plan, learn how to play off of Westbrook and Bill a little bit more as the season progresses. And you're going to get your big man back in the middle. So I would take the Washington Wizards probably the New Orleans Pelicans job is talent wise is very attractive. It's just that I don't want to go into a job if I sign this contract with stars that are already unhappy, and now I'm supposed to be the guy that's going to make them happy. I mean, they don't enjoy it here. Hey, I'm here now. Joe Gregory's here. Enjoy it. I'm in New Orleans now.
Enjoy it.
I don't know if that would be enough for Zion and those guys to be happy. So I would
That's
probably
gonna
take
be
the Washington, and it's also in New Orleans. It's in the West.
yeah.
I mean, damn, how hard is the West right now? I mean, Luka Doncic they make it out the first round. Damian Lillard they make it out the first round. And
I
these
did
are
want to address
teams
something.
that change coaches and gonna be improving. So,
I did want to
so
address though. Stan Van Gundy yesterday, he did say that Zion is no coach killer. So, what's your thoughts
yeah,
on that? He kind of he said I lost my job, but he said it had nothing to do with that. And so what are your thoughts on that? Considering we just saw New Orleans, they had Stan Van Gundy, and it was one and done. It was like we tried it, it didn't work, but Zion was an all-star. So so what are your thoughts on that?
yeah.
That's interesting to me.
I mean, Stan Van Gundy. Remember how the year started off? I was raving about how he was putting the ball in Brandon Ingram's hands more, letting him be a point forward, letting him make some decisions on the side of also with Lonzo Ball. I don't know where it really went wrong with New Orleans. I know they did have a habit of blowing some nice size leads for most of the year. So something about, I don't know if it was the bench. I don't know if that come from the coaching. But if they could have probably, if they didn't blow half of the games they blew, they probably would have been in at least the playing game or maybe possibly the 8th seed. So we'll see how those younger players on that team learn from that also. You talk about Lonzo Ball. He's still in his early 20s. You know what I'm saying? Brandon Ingram. These guys, this was their first time really having the keys to the franchise. So they've been given the keys, and it didn't turn out all that great. So maybe another veteran or two on that team also to go with some of those young talent, productive veteran players. Those role players. You need those Jay Crowder and Marcus Morris type players on your team sometimes. I was going back and forth with our good guy TJ. Shout out to my good guy TJ.
Shout out TJ Oral.
He was talking about the Scotty situation and how you felt like Scotty was being disrespected by being called a role player. And I was just like, man, you could have said he was Robin, but remember, if you ever watched Batman? You ever watch Batman?
I've seen it. I know.
You familiar? You aware? I mean, what's wrong with being an Alfred? What's wrong with every team need an Alfred?
Because everybody
you need an Alfred on your team. Everybody can't be the man.
Everybody can't be the man, but
ain't nothing wrong with being Alfred. Ain't nothing wrong with having Alfred on your team.
Hey,
you're gonna need an Alfred on your team.
That's that man's views.
Ain't nothing wrong with having Alfred on your team. Sometimes these teams have too many Batmans and too many Robins. You need an Alfred every now and then. And that's probably what the New Orleans Pelicans might need in addition to a different voice leading. They need an Alfred or so on that team.
They got Zion Williamson, so they got something to build around. They got probably the most hyped player in the league since LeBron. So I mean, it's gonna be good to see what happens with the New Orleans Pelicans. But I like that you mentioned Jay Crowder because you know why you're here. You know why I brought you on here. You gotta come talk to the finals, man.
Because you wanted somebody with a nice Bulls hat on your show.
Can't hear to talk that NBA finals. You saw that. I'm gonna get your prediction too, man. But we're gonna talk NBA finals, man. You see for the first time the Milwaukee Bucks and the Phoenix Suns, man. NBA finals droughts have come to an end. Have come to an end.
The last time the Bucks was in the finals, I'm not even sure I was walking yet. I gotta ask my mother. Could I walk when I was like 10 months? I gotta ask my mother that. Was I walking at 10 months?
Yeah.
But yeah, man. Two cities who are striving for a championship. There's no LeBron in their way. There's no Steph Curry in their way, or like the perennial, no Kevin Durant's in their way. So they gotta both feel like they can do it. But if you're Milwaukee, you just like, damn, I wish Giannis was healthy.
Yeah.
But he's not healthy. So how many games can you steal a game in Phoenix without Giannis? I mean, Coach Budenholzer is gonna be really, he's gonna be under the microscope to see how you're gonna be able to do that, as well as contain a very hot, explosive backcourt. No pun intended. Talking about Booker and Paul. And also how you gonna contain the big man in the middle, DeAndre Ayton. So how you gonna contain these people And I don't know, Chris Middleton and Drew Holiday, they got to be more consistent. I got to figure they're going to have their foot on the gas pedal from the opening jump tomorrow night because they have to really get a Bucks that chance they need to win, especially if they don't have Giannis playing or available to them.
All right, so without Giannis in this series, I think what we've seen, well, even with Giannis throughout the playoffs, I think Milwaukee, the key has been their outside shooting. Like in the first round, we saw Brent Forbes light it up. In the other two rounds, we saw Chris Middleton pretty much become probably the best scorer on that team. Drew Holiday hit some clutch shots. Bobby Portis, Brook Lopez, they had big games. So for Milwaukee without Giannis, I think it's really gonna come down to their role players because throughout this playoffs, we saw for Phoenix, their role players have struggled. We saw Mikal Bridges struggle in the first round, but he got back on track. Jay Crowder struggled for 2 rounds, and he got back on track. So right now, I think this series is going to come down to for Milwaukee, they're going to have to win that matchup. They're going to need Brent Forbes, Bobby Portis, Brook Lopez. I don't know if you can get 25 out of Portis and 30 out of Lopez every night and 17 out of Brent every night, but Milwaukee is going to need somebody to step up and probably put up at least 17, 19, 18, 19 a game to help Chris Middleton and Drew Holiday stay afloat in the series against the Phoenix Suns.
See, I think against Atlanta, once Giannis was unavailable, you saw Brook Lopez go back into the paint. Yeah. Now, I'm one of those believers that when I watch the Bucks, I feel like he just gives Giannis the paint, and like he just goes to settle for side ball threes and shooting 7 or 8 threes a game when he's 7 feet and 7'1" or whatever. So I always look at the Bucks as like they might have an advantage in the paint, but if you're gonna shoot 45 threes and only make 9 of them, but 10 of them will struggle from out there, what's the sense of being tall if you ain't gonna use it? You're just gonna be out there shooting like the little guys.
Hey, that's the NBA.
So
that's the modern.
And I thought they did a good job of getting Brook Lopez back in the paint in Game 5 and Game 6. Bobby Portis banging in the paint once he came off the bench. I think they got to do that against Phoenix. You got to get Brook Lopez back in the paint. And when Bobby Portis come in, like I also stated on the earlier show, they might have to play them together a little bit sometimes. Portis and Lopez a little bit sometimes, just to try to take over the paint. Because if DeAndre Ayton controls the paint, as far as blocking shots, rebounding, getting second shots, and scoring, I think that's going to make it very hard on Milwaukee, especially when they got already can deal with Booker and already got to deal with Paul. I think the philosophy must be going inside. You need to make some threes. You're going to have to shoot some threes, but I don't think that's got to be just a whole main staple point of your offense, especially when you got Brook Lopez and Chris Middleton and Drew Holiday have been terrific in the mid-range game. I don't think threes needs to be your main premise.
You know what? I want to ask you what's your key matchup in just a second, because for me, I think the key matchup in this series is Milwaukee's pick and roll defense against Phoenix in that high pick and roll with DeAndre Ayton. Because without Giannis, you kind of lose a body, lose a bit of agility, somebody that can cover a lot of ground just with long strides. So I think for Milwaukee, what we could see in this playoffs or in this final series, I would like to see Drew Holiday probably guard Devin Booker. Because that way, if you put Drew Holiday on Devin Booker or Drew Holiday on Chris Paul, whatever, Drew Holiday I think he's gonna have to work in this series. But I would like to see him guard Devin Booker because I think Chris Middleton is a good defender, but he's ended up in a lot of highlights in his playoffs. Now that's not his fault. He's just going up against good scorers. But I think Drew Holiday, he might be the better matchup for Devin Booker because he can stay with him. He's got that same length. He can move with him. And then also if you switch him, he's very versatile. He can cover 4 positions, sometimes 5. He's got quick hands where he can maybe get some steals against DeAndre Ayton. So for me, it's the pick and roll defense from Milwaukee. What's your key matchup in this series? So do you got the role players or do you got an individual positional matchup?
I got the heads of the snake on each team. I got Drew Holiday, Chris Paul. And here's why. Chris Paul is 6 feet. He's not growing. He's not finna grow tomorrow, and he's not going to be growing. So we all know about the switching game in the NBA. So how do you have Chris Paul? I am thinking that Chris Paul is probably going to start off in this series guarding P.J. Tucker. Because P.J. Tucker and Drew Holiday, for the most part, are about the same size. We just know Drew Holiday is a little bit more offensively gifted and skilled than P.J. Tucker. He's going to be really been relegated to making side ball threes or whatever, and offensive rebounding and tapping the ball out. So how do you have Chris Paul?
He makes the side threes well, though. But he makes them corner threes
Sometimes.
well. Remember,
I
he was
mean,
leading the league a few years ago.
in game 6 against Atlanta, he didn't make a key one until it was late. I mean, he
Yeah.
was out there like, let it rain, side of the backboard, other side of the rim. I was like, damn. But then he finally hit one on that last run in the fourth quarter. So,
You said he was trying to make it rain. It was nothing but thunder.
yeah, nothing. Nothing. Man,
Nothing but
get that
thunder.
ball out that man's hands.
Nothing but boom off the rim. Off the
Pretty
rim.
much. Pretty much. And we also know Chris Paul, on the other hand, on the offensive side, you gotta stick to him, like you say, high pick and roll situations. He's become a mid-range master from 15 feet, 17 feet. So if he got Brook Lopez on him or somebody, he probably gonna shake them, give him the 15-footer, or he might drive past him and get the dish, or he might get the oop. So that's gonna be very key, I think, for both sides as far as this pick and roll going and this screening going. Like I said about Drew Holiday, I think he's gotta be the second best player on Milwaukee. Not the first. You got to be at least second to Chris Middleton. Him and Chris Middleton will have to lead this team, especially in the with Giannis being absent.
I think Chris Middleton has done a great job. I think he's done a great job of that so far in terms of their scoring, man. Chris Middleton been getting buckets. Like that game against Milwaukee, against Atlanta, like he was just, like in the second half, he just went crazy, man.
Yeah, and he's had stretches like that.
Hey, while we here, hey Milwaukee, please don't wear them blue jerseys, man. Please don't wear them blue jerseys in the series. I don't want to see that. I don't like those. I'm not a fan of those jerseys, man. Please don't wear those.
Jerseys, I think this jersey thing is like already decided before certain games. Like
it is.
Phoenix already knows. Hey, we're wearing black tomorrow. Good. Milwaukee saying, okay, we're gonna wear white. Then game 2, Milwaukee said, okay, we're gonna wear green. Phoenix already saying, okay, we're gonna wear orange. So
I hope Phoenix wear black the whole series because ideally I think that means Milwaukee won't wear the color uniform. They're gonna wear like white, so they have to wear white or something. So that means I have been blue unis.
Now I have been noticing Phoenix go a lot to orange when they get on the road here in the playoffs. Yeah. So they might be in orange when they get back to Wisconsin.
I hope Milwaukee wear their black jerseys then. Don't wear them blue ones. Please don't wear them blue jerseys, Bucks. Please don't wear those. I don't want to see them in the NBA Finals, man.
You really don't want to see them. You know?
I don't like those jerseys.
Whenever you use prayer.
Bring the Cream City jerseys back. I like the Cream City jerseys. Bring those back.
Cream City? Okay.
Yeah, the cream ones. Those was nice. But you see on the screen though right now, Chris Paul, man. We didn't really talk about the NBA Finals storylines, but I mean, if there's ever was one, it's that right there. So let me get your thoughts on Chris Paul, man. Finally making it to the NBA Finals. I'm gonna have our good brother Justin Adams on, and he'll probably have a different perspective tomorrow. But what's your thoughts on Chris Paul?
Hey, Justin Adams, whatever he said tomorrow, that's that man's views. I know what he gonna say. He gonna say Chris Paul. He gonna say his punk ass. When we had him, he gonna pull his hamstring. You know, that's what he's gonna say. That's what he's gonna say.
I'm gonna have to put the explicit logo on tomorrow's episode.
Definitely, you definitely gonna have to do that for him. But yeah, Chris Paul. I mean, man, inspiration. That's the only thing you can feel about Chris Paul, and it's inspirational. I mean, to be knocked down as many times as he's been knocked down, to be facing the Lakers, you say, oh, damn, now his shoulder hurt. You feel like he's a promotional piece for the operation board game when it comes to the playoffs. Shoulder, hamstring, hand, COVID. You know what I'm saying? And he's finally got to. Hey, one of those anything can go wrong with Chris Paul, will go wrong type of things with Chris Paul. But he's put it all behind him. He balled out of control. He put 32 points up in the second half. One of his best scoring games ever last week. He made Patrick Beverly get West Side Chicago on him, made him so mad he couldn't do nothing. He was just relegating and giving him a dirty push in the back. So now Chris Paul is here. He needs 4 wins. He's never had 12 wins before in the playoffs. And if he gets 4 more, you put him up there, give him that chip, and nobody can take away. He didn't go looking for a big team. He didn't go looking for a big market. And somebody said he got it out the mud with the players that have never been in the playoffs before. And here they go now. So, I mean, how can you not root for a guy like Chris Paul?
Yeah, I feel you, man. Like to see Chris Paul, and like you said, that game he had in Game 6, I think that's might be the best playoff game I've ever seen him play. Like the 41 points, the step backs, the mid range, the passing, everything was working for Chris Paul in that game. I've only seen him have like one other game like that in the playoffs, and I was like he had like a game winner against Memphis some years back when he was on the Clippers. But like Chris Paul, like that was like the best playoff game I've ever seen him play, and now he's going to the finals for the first time ever, man. I mean, honestly, I didn't think it would happen. I didn't think he would ever make it to the finals after the Houston thing with the 27 missed threes and he sit out with the hamstrings. But here we are, man. A Bucks Phoenix Suns NBA Finals. You see the graphic. NBA Finals droughts for both teams. You said you was what 10 months when the Bucks made it. I was 2
Yeah.
when Phoenix last made it. So
Oh man.
so
Oh man, you missed it, man. I got to tell you about it one day. I can remember some of that. Shout out to Richard Dumas.
Yeah, shout out Richard Dumas, man. Shout out them 1990.
And those great first quarters he used to have against the Bulls before he would just fade away. Man had 14 points like every first quarter, and then would just fade away.
Hey, Richard Dumas, he got a lot of steals and open floor dunks in that series. I've seen that series on separate.
It seemed like they was always in the first quarter though. It was crazy.
Right, like he would go crazy early on. He get like one little layup later in the game, but. Bucks Suns, man. I never thought I'd see a Bucks Suns finals, but here we are, man. And while we here, man, you don't have to, but if you got one, you see us say predictions. What you got? That's why I got the question marks on it.
I got Suns. I want to say 4-1. I feel like I should be leaning maybe 4-2. I got a feeling that Giannis is gonna come back. Maybe game 3, maybe game 4. Emotional lift. Willis Reedish type stuff, and they might be able to get one. But I really think it's Phoenix's series to lose. I mean, you gotta love that big three they got going right now with CP3, D Book, and DeAndre Ayton. Monty Williams, terrific coaching job. Guys like they're gonna run through a wall for him. And I mean, the role players got to play their role in this series. You know, Jay Crowder, Kel Bridges, Cameron Johnson.
Back-to-back.
Got to make them shots. Yeah. Back-to-back trips.
For Jay Crowder. Shout out to all these former Bulls players in the finals. Bobby Portis, Cam Payne, Etwan Moore, all in the finals.
Big three.
Yeah, man. So you got Suns in 6? You got Suns in 7?
Suns in 6.
Suns in 6? Okay. All year long, man, I had Bucks Clippers as my finals. I came close. I came real close. But
I mean, you got to choose the Bucks.
No, I'm not. I can't. Like I want to pick the Bucks. I do. I ain't gonna lie to you. I do want to pick the Bucks because I had them getting this far. But just without Giannis, man, like if he doesn't play in this series, I got Phoenix in 6, man. And even if he does play, man, I got Phoenix in 7, man. I got the Suns in 7, man. I just think Phoenix there with Devin Booker and Chris Paul, and they on that mission. I think they're on a mission for Chris Paul, man.
I mean,
shout out Milwaukee. Shout out Milwaukee. I think y'all will be back though. I think they got a good core with Middleton, Giannis, and Holiday for years. But I think Chris Paul and the Suns are winning this one.
I mean, just the storylines with Phoenix. Think about Monty Williams losing his wife in that tragic car accident a couple of years ago. He was down there in New Orleans with him, and he had to take that long leave. Maybe passed up other coaching jobs. So he had to try to be a father and get his family back together. You know, I'm going to be a single father. My kids just lost their mother tragically. He had to rebound from all of that. And from now to go to Phoenix last year, sort of set change the culture. When they go down to the bubble, win every game. They don't make it to the playoffs, but they win every game. They learn about competing. Chris Paul seeing that, joining them, man, inspirational. Monty Williams, Chris Paul, I see them crying in about 11 days on the podium, just hugging, probably in Wisconsin.
Shout out Monty Williams, the coach of the year, the NBCA coach of the year, meaning coach of the year voted by the coaches.
Mm-hmm.
So shout out to Monty Williams. Just shout out to both of these teams, man. Like we really gonna see the Bucks or the Suns win the NBA championship. I never thought.
We really are. Shout out to the small markets.
We really gonna see that this year. And I think that's huge for the NBA. That it's not Lakers Knicks. It's not Lakers Knicks.
In the words of T-Pain, in the words of American author T-Pain, it could be a party in Wisconsin. It really could.
Somewhere in Wisconsin. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Hey, I remember when that song was hot, bro.
Oh, man. Also, those T-Pain commercials right now they got going on with Anthony Davis. Like, would T-Pain be out without auto-tuning? His voice sounding all crazy.
Hey, shout out to T-Pain, man. T-Pain is great. T-Pain is great. Shout out to my cousin Marcus. He was a major T-Pain fan. He put me on, so shout out to him. Hey, you came at me when I had Shaq on the show that one time, and I had the Phoenix Suns the Phoenix Suns, top 5 Phoenix Suns players. You're like, how you gonna do a throwback session and not have me on it? So I got one for you, man. You done seen more NBA Finals than I have. So some of your favorite NBA Finals memories. I mean, it don't have to be no list. Just some of your more favorite NBA Final memories. Just a bunch, because I can just throw a lot at you. Like all them, like that last three-peat for the Bulls for me. Because I was a kid, but I actually do remember that. So
I mean,
shout out to that Bulls last three-peat.
I think when Michael Jordan was playing the Lakers, he was finna go up and dunk. He just had enough time to just. I mean, that one is terrific. That Barkley game that he had in that overtime game, when the Bulls thought they was gonna win the series 4-1, and he came and played. I could take the boys now or whatever. That was a terrific moment. Isaiah Thomas, of course, when Isaiah Thomas, when he was doing the thing for Detroit, and his ankle was bad, and he was playing the Lakers.
Yeah,
he put up like 40 on them
20,
on one ankle.
Yeah, 25 in the third and 88.
I mean, that's terrific. I mean, how about the LeBron block on Iguodala a few years ago?
I'm glad.
Which led to the.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because I think that would, a lot of people say that Kyrie Irving shot was huge, but like that block by LeBron, man. That block by LeBron when he had when he blocked Iguodala's layup, you got to realize the Warriors could have went up by like 3 points. They could have went up by like 2. And so Kyrie Irving's 3 would have made it a 1-point ball game. So now LeBron's block, that ended up making it a tie game. So now when Kyrie came down and he hit the 3, that gives you the lead. And now when the Warriors come back, you already know Steph Curry's looking for a 3. So now you have the advantage of knowing he's gonna shoot a 3. So you can pretty much put Kevin Love or LeBron, taller guys, on him to keep it from knocking.
How about the Kevin Durant shot in LeBron's face a couple of years ago when it was in Cleveland? That was huge too.
D-Wade.
He took against Dallas.
The Dallas Mavericks, yep.
Man, so many memories, man. The Ray Allen shot to even start the Miami run.
Time out. That is probably my favorite NBA final, other than next to the shot by Jordan. Mm-hmm. That's probably my second favorite, and I totally hated the Heat back then, just because I remember where I was at when I saw that. Like I was like, wow.
And also that
down, bro. Like what? Just how.
And that whole, and against Utah, not to stay on that Utah thing, that whole Jordan sequence when he comes and they trail and he come and smack the ball out of the mailman hand when he looking. Man, that was just, give you goosebumps thinking about it. Make the hair on the back of my neck stand up.
Right. Hey, 96, that's the first memory I can have of the NBA Finals. That's the first time I remember like watching it live. Mm-hmm. My dad was watching Game 1 back when we stayed up north. So I kind of remember that. What's one of your first finals memories? Like I said, I remember that whole last Bulls 3-peat. So I remember
first finals memory. I think it might have been when Bird and Magic kept clashing back then in the 80s. Probably when I was in grade school or whatever, 12-ish, 13-ish, whatever, and those were the teams. Really, Magic was Bird. You was gonna wear the all black weapons. You was gonna get the purple, gold, and white weapons. It was about them two really at that time. Dr. J would try to break in there, but it was really about those two players. So, man, just those hard fouls by guys like McHale and Greg Kite, Michael Cooper, and the other players in those series, the Byron Scotts and those people in the world, man, just made for a terrific series. East Coast, West Coast, it was terrific.
All right, you don't have to say definitively, but what's your favorite NBA Finals that you witnessed?
Favorite?
Yeah, what's your favorite NBA Finals that you
witnessed? I'm trying to see which Bull one would it be.
Yeah,
it might have been
exactly.
It might have been the one when after Jordan's father passes away and he wins the championship and he just takes the championship and he just land on Father's Day when he wins the title. When he won the title on Father's Day, I think that might be my favorite one.
All right, you know what mine is? Mine, weird, oddly enough, I'm trying to stay away from the Bulls ones because those are always gonna be.
Good luck with that.
Yeah, those are always gonna be my favorite. But Miami, honestly, like I said, Miami, San Antonio, that was my favorite finals. I thought that was great because San Antonio kind of laid the blueprint for the NBA as we see it now, with the outside shooting with Danny Green and Gary Neal that year, LeBron with the headband off, leading them back, and then Ray Allen hitting that clutch 3, and then they won in Game 7. So I think that's my favorite. What's your least favorite? Like, what's one of them NBA finals that maybe if
J.R. Smith?
One of them NBA finals, J.R. Smith. No, I'm gonna
J.R. Smith
series and
least favorite series.
Series and moments too. Go ahead. Series and moments.
The least favorite moment was probably the J.R. Smith when that's just you got it. LeBron like I got 51 points. Your ass can't remember the time and the score situation. uh, least favorite series. Not saying that it was bad for. I know a lot of people didn't like when Detroit played San Antonio. Them like
Oh
83,
man,
79 games.
bro. Oh, bro,
But it was
listen.
just, hey, it was
Hey,
teams, two teams that knew each other that really wanted to win. That was playing defense. That was going to grind it out. I don't think
I
people
will.
really
Hey,
liked it. That
you took that out of my mind. You took that out of my mind because that was gonna be my worst one. That because I remember like I was about to graduate 8th grade around that time, so I had a lot
oh
going on.
man,
But honestly, I can't tell you anything else about that series other than Robert Ory hit a game winner in Game 5, and like the Spurs won that series. That's all I know is the Spurs won and Monty was the MVP, and Robert Ory hit a game winner Game 5 because I'm gonna be real, man. I was not trying to watch them out defense each other for 7 games, bro. I'm not trying to. I'm not trying to watch them out defense
so
each
you,
other for
you didn't
seven
want to
games.
watch it. So you telling me you didn't want to watch a 6-3 game in the Super Bowl?
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Also, some of the other leagues, Josh Howard, when he called like that timeout, they cost the Mavericks one of the games in '06.
Oh
That was
yeah,
one of my
yeah.
least favorite. You already mentioned the J.R. Smith moment. '07, 2007, that was one of the more forgettable finals too, because the Spurs swept the Cavs. But one of my favorite memories is over
Oh,
that series. One of my favorite memories of that year was like after that series, like that series had been over for like 2 weeks, and my grandmother, she walked up to me, she said, did they have an NBA championship this year? I was like, yeah. She was like, who won? I was like, the Spurs. They have it. I was like, yeah. It was over so quick. You just didn't know.
it was
It
so
was like
quick. It
quick.
was so
Quick, bro.
unassuming. No, Tim Duncan is his nickname is the Big Fundamental. So it wasn't going to be like no exciting dunk or polarizing play that they was going to keep playing on Sports Center or something from Tim Duncan. So
Yeah,
yeah, I could see it. I could see it almost went over her head right there.
yeah. Like on top of that, it also like that was also the year like ABC had like one of them early years of ABC having the finals where they would promote like all these shows during the game. So they kept showing like
Oh
Eva
yeah.
Longoria. They kept showing Eva Longoria like every time the Spurs
uh,
did something. It was like, come on, dude. It's like, come on,
like
man. I'm trying to watch
like
a
Tony
game,
Parker,
bro.
know that's his wife. You ain't got to keep showing her.
Right? You gotta keep showing her every time he do something, bro.
That was Desperate Housewives they kept promoting.
Yeah, they kept
Uh
promoting
oh.
Desperate
Oh,
Housewives.
look at the news. See the
I
breaking
know
news?
that's what. Yeah, I see it. I see it. I'm gonna go ahead and let you do that one since you kind of
I,
spoken into existence.
well, I love I love when sports teams. I love when sports teams like the Atlanta Hawks are paying attention to me and doing what I say do. Now, I said 30 minutes or later, 30 minutes ago, they should get the interim tag off his name and they should do it expeditiously. They should do
You
it
did say
fast
that.
and quickly. Here we are 30 minutes later in the middle of your world class Hoops podcast, which I'm
That's
just
why I
so
go live.
proud to be invited to and everything.
That's why we go
And they
live, baby. That's why
and
I go
they've done
live.
and they've done what I say do. I don't want to call myself Joe Stradamus, but if you want to call me Joe Stradamus, you go right ahead.
I gotta give you that one. That was good. That was pretty good. I gotta give you that. I gotta give you that. I was like, I saw that alert. I was like, get out of here, bro.
Oh man.
Get out of here,
I,
man.
I, I gotta tell you, I did not know anything about that. I haven't been in contact with nobody from Atlanta in between these two shows.
No, I feel you, man. Me neither, man. All I did was go out and get some of that hot sun that we got going on in Chicago. 87 degrees today, man. But
Oh yeah.
matter of fact, let's go try to cool off, man. We gonna step away from this, man. This has been another edition, man, of the World Class Hoop Podcast. Joe, I'm glad you could stop through, man. Go ahead, man. You go
Oh
ahead and give out your little social. You give out your social media tags for me here, man.
yeah. I was
Everything
finna
you
correct
want.
you. I'm be calling myself little.
Yeah, that's why
You
I
call
was like, my
you
bad.
you
I ain't mean
can't
it like
listen.
that.
You can't
I
call
ain't
me
mean it like
big dog all the time. Then say I got little social media stuff. Um, you know my name is Joseph Gregory. You can catch that on Facebook. Go check out the page on Facebook, Students of the Game. Also, go check me out on Twitter at JoeStuff710. You can also check out Students of the Game on Twitter, Students of the Game Chicago. And
that.
probably in the next couple of weeks, we will have a Joe Twitter page that we'll be setting up. You know what I'm saying? And that's what's happening right
Get it
now.
moving.
I do turn 48 Saturday, so I might be doing a little celebratory stuff before we get the Joe Twitter page up, but we will get it up.
You're gonna be doing some celebratory things for your birthday. Well, I'm glad to hear that, man. Wish you an early happy birthday. Congratulations again on your wedding, man. It's gonna be about a.
Oh,
I
thank you,
believe
thank you, thank you.
it's gonna be a month. What, next week?
be a month on the 12th.
Yeah, it's
You
gonna be a
know
month next
what
month.
what getting married forced me to do. I had to go buy earrings, and I got my ears have been pierced longer than you've been alive.
Yeah, I know.
Real talk. I just don't really wear earrings now. But now since I wear this ring all the time. So I didn't want the ring to feel by itself. So I had to get earrings. So that's what I've been doing. And I didn't wear them the last 3 days because I knew I was going to be on the show. So I washed them yesterday and I washed them up real good and I got them in there. And I know you can't see because of the headphone. You're probably blocking the headphone. Look at that.
No, I see it. Yeah, I see the little
Huge.
stud right there.
No,
I see the stud.
See, don't call it little stud. Don't say that. Say big stud.
All right, I see the stud right there. All right, man. Thanks for stopping through, man. Once again, this has been another edition of the World Class Hoops podcast. Tomorrow on the show, I'm gonna have our good brother Justin Adams. He gonna come through. He gonna talk some NBA Finals. He gonna talk some Chris Paul. We also gonna come through. We gonna talk some Houston Rockets. Thoughts on? I mean, Cade Cunningham is supposed to be number one. What's your thoughts, real quick, before we get out?
Supposed to be.
Houston. What's your thoughts on Houston, anyway?
My thoughts on Houston is it's a great place to visit. As far as the basketball team, they got to see what they want to do with John Wall. Does John Wall still want to be there? I thought last year, I'm like, man, they got John Wall, DeMarcus Cousins. Excuse me. Trying to think of Victor Oladipo at the time. So I'm like, okay, they finna try to do something. And all of a sudden, Boogie's in the almost in the finals. Oladipo's in Miami. And John Wall was on the bench most of the time watching the young ones play. Kevin Porter Jr. and all them, Kenyon Martin and Jay Sean Tatum really had a breakout year. So I'm getting Cade Cunningham if I'm picking number one. Getting Cade Cunningham.
If that happens, what you got for Houston, man? Let me get your thoughts on the Rockets so I could put them up against Justin's tomorrow, man. So what you got?
I mean, get Cade Cunningham. If you have a chance to get him.
But all right, say he's off the board. Who you go with?
Say he's off the board?
Yeah, say he's off the board.
Then I think you got to make a decision because I really, really, really like Jalen Suggs. We know it's a guard oriented league, but you got John Wall right now. Do you want to get another shooter like a Jalen Green and keep John Wall? You want to go big with Mobley? Pair him. You want to go Mobley with Christian Wood maybe, and with the stretch fours and everything, how that's going? Or you might want to move down a little bit. I really like Suggs, but you got to see how much John Wall want to be there doing all the rebuilding.
Yeah, I think we could see them probably go big. I think Evan Mobley would be more likely to be their pick. I think Jalen Suggs, we could probably see him going to Toronto, especially with the Kyle Lowry situation going on. Put him back there with Van Vliet. I could see that working out more for Jalen Suggs. So, but hey, once again, Joe, thank you for sliding through. Hey man, we did a marathon, man. We did Joe with Joe this morning. We did World Class Hoops podcast, man. We getting the content out, man. So once again, for Joseph Gregory, I'm Chris Rouse. This has been another edition of the World Class Hoops podcast. I'll be back tomorrow with Justin Adams. Until next time, positive energy to you all. Salute to you, Joe, and we out.